This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. September 30th. Public comments. I haven't seen nobody's in the room, so want to pay any business.
Okay. You had a number of informational items in your packet. Okay, then we have the payday figure. So payday, or excuse me, the sales tax is $69,070.56. And then we do have page 16 and 17, the details for the commissioner-owned businesses.
Yeah, we have two warrants that need to be addressed separately. One for Western Associates. Love the
$50.05.
$50.05. I will make a motion to approve the Western Associates for $50.05. Second. Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those abstaining?
So that was a 4 with one abstention, 4 in favor? Okay.
I think it's something they do every year.
Okay. All right, and then we have Elcon Electric. The total amount is $364.06.
I'll make it motion to approve it. That's all. 364.96.
Oh, six.
06.
We have a motion by Ken. Second by Randy. Any other discussion?
What was that for exactly? I see it says lead lamps and things, but what exactly was it?
It's LED parts for a light, and then repair service call for looks for road and bridge. So maybe one of their shop buildings.
Okay. And a motion by Ken, second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those abstaining? Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. And we have the grand total payday is $1,977,146.34. That includes payroll 545, 247.73.
Questions or concerns with the warrants?
Yeah, Tina, where did that show up? On that repair? What page?
That's-
I missed it somewhere.
Well, let's see. I think it's on the special equipment. Let me see what page that is.
So I didn't see that going through there. may have missed it too.
Talking about this one?
Yeah. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see
I
this.
see it, yeah. It's on page,
It's
yeah,
on
under
page,
special equipment.
in your packet, it's on page 46.
Yeah,
And it's on page 28, I think, of the reports.
I just, I question, and I know that we don't have a policy on that. When we get that huge of a bill on a piece of equipment, I mean, how do we, it just seems kind of important that we kind of know about that when we run into something really major like that, because we may want to go a different direction.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a total rebuild of that machine.
And that's almost half, well, not half, but it's close to, that's a big sum compared to what we paid for replacement.
I just.
I was guessing 225 to 250, and I don't know whether we can buy a new one still at 225 or 250 or
I
not.
just question if that's money well spent, or we should have just replaced it.
Yeah, well, I know I had some tickets for, we bought some for like 195. But they had a few miles, or a few hours on them, I'm sorry, but very, very few.
Yeah, I mean, evidently, the feeling was that this machine was worthy of rebuild, but I don't see the hours on it or anything. You see just the hours on it?
It says meter reading 2 point. Maybe that's not
That can't be right.
I don't know if the commission needs to have some type of policy on repairs, something like that, if it's over a certain dollar amount, that we review it prior to, and what that amount is. I don't know. I know Road and Bridge has some big bills, there's no doubt about that. I just think it'd probably be best if we saw it, because we may want to go a different direction.
right. Be an estimate on repairs.
Yeah.
I agree.
Did you put
I guess it,
a 50,000 total in there, 25,000?
well, I know a lot of times 25,000 doesn't cover much anymore, but yeah, certainly maybe 50,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood.
I think
Just
this
my
is the
thought.
only department really that pertains to, because other departments' equipment is a lot less expensive,
Yeah.
and they come to you if it's an $800 or $900 repair.
Yeah.
Maybe it needs to be a percentage of the value of the equipment. If it's within the certain percentage of that value, get commission approval before, I don't know.
30, 40% or something.
Because if you set it at 25 or
Yeah.
50,000, then nobody will have to come get anything approved except for that one
That's
department.
Yeah, percentage would probably make more sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the cost of a new machine is. It might be 300,000, I don't know.
I would just expect a report on this to let us be aware that if we have a machine down and we're looking at a major bill here, I would expect that question to be asked and with a report, so we all know that and not see it at the end. That's what I would expect right now.
We don't want to delay the repair or replacement too long either.
No, I mean, but there's
No,
meeting
but
every
usually
month.
Road Bridge is in every week anyway.
Yeah. It's broke, it's broke.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect a report on, maybe even, $2,500, $5,000 deal,
No.
but
No.
when you get into something like that, then there needs to be some discussion is what's the best use of taxpayers' money on this, rebuild it or replace it?
Yeah, I would be interested to know how many hours it does have on it,
Single
had it
year.
needed a motor rebuild already.
Yeah, I mean, we've got information there, but we really don't have any information on
Right.
the machine. Evidently, it was to rebuild the heat and air and everything else, it must have been in fairly sad condition.
Yes.
So, do we need a dollar amount? Needs to be reported.
Let's do some thinking on that. I see Bryce is due here at 10:30.
Won't be here.
Won't be here.
No.
I'll know that.
Either that or we can put it on for next next Monday's agenda, talk about it.
So actually, you could do something like whenever you need a major repair, like an engine rebuild or something like that, that's just brought to the commission, and then at that time, when you get the information as to the hours on, the condition, the year, what we owe on it, and stuff like that, and then make the decision. When you're talking major repairs, maybe not just a dollar amount, but that would be my thought.
Something to the effect that, so we're all alert, and, because now we've got a $70,000 bill that, what's gonna happen when the next one goes down?
That's right.
You know, we're gonna spend that 70,000 on it again, not on this machine, I hope,
Right.
but, on another machine. So, we need to do something, get some sort of plan.
Would it be a directive?
Yeah,
A directive to report to the commission on any major
I think
repair
that would be a
item?
good deal.
I'll make that a motion if need be.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright, the rest of the warrants, anybody got any more concerns? Hearing none. I'll make a motion to approve grand total payday at $1,977,146.34.
I'll second.
Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Okay.
I think that was five, two.
All right. Just to let you know, I have registered you, Dave, and Randy for the KAC virtual conference. And didn't know if any, that's October 13th and 14th, if you remember. It's, the 13th is just a small segment, and the 14th is most of the day. So, and that's when the KAC and the KCAM meetings will be. Is anybody else wanting to be, to register for that? There is no cost to register, and it's all online.
Days was it?
October 13th and 14th, primarily the 14th, which is a Wednesday.
15th, yeah, so I
You want me to register you? And then you can always attend the sessions that work for your schedule, and not, that you wouldn't have to attend everything, so. Okay. Okay, I will get that done.
Is it all gonna be on the same Zoom, or are we gonna have to change Zooms?
I'm pretty sure, I don't know the answer.
Okay.
I think it's probably gonna be all day on the same, so if you leave, you just come back to the same one.
But I was thinking one KAC may go to their own.
They might, I haven't gotten information on that. When I get any of that information, I'll pass it on.
Okay.
I think they're still trying to get people to get registered. I don't know that they've had very many registers. Okay. I have minutes from September 14th.
Everybody had a chance to review the minutes. September 14th. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve September 14th minutes as written.
Okay.
But, yeah, she motioned for it.
There, a second? I'll second it, nobody else.
Randy will second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then I also have the minutes of September 21.
Concerns with the minutes as written?
Make a motion approve the September 21st minutes as written.
I'll second.
Motion by Ken, second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, the next thing I have is budgeted transfer. This is the second of 3 transfers budgeted for this year for, to fund the capital improvement fund.
I know these are scheduled, but we really need to think about maybe holding up on a little bit of that. You know, we've got a new budget for rock next year, but we're also talking about a lot more hard rock. And we all saw what we spent on that. And I'm just afraid that rock budget's still not gonna be enough.
Rock road rebuilds can be paid for out of capital improvement. And so this is a general fund transfer into
You know,
capital.
I mean, this is just for rock that we're using in normal use. It wouldn't be considered rebuild, so just something to think about. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but something to think about, especially after last year, the overage we had on the budget. And I hate to rob the general fund all the time.
One other thing to consider is that we still have, a third transfer this year. And over the next couple of months, that's
Yeah.
the time when we start kind of going through and doing an extensive review of where each department is with their budget.
You know,
So
that might be the appropriate time to be looking at that
we can,
for the next go around.
before we do the next
Right.
transfer, correct. And last year, we only did 1 transfer, and that was it.
Do you remember what we went to on the new budget for rock?
I don't have the budget with me.
Was it 1.2?
I just, what I'm getting at, Ken, is I understand your concern, but we knew going into budget that rock was gonna cost us more. And I'm more concerned about we have something to do when somebody comes in and we say, hey, that road's blacktop, we gotta do something. And
Yeah, I understand
and
that.
it's a knife here and a knife here is what it is. And I'd like to continue the transfers to have that money because you come in as commissioner and you said we need to do something on 3/30th. We had the cash, and it's very nice to do that with on 3/30th. And I know that I just see I'm just worried about the future, the next 3 years of some of our main blacktop roads in our county. And I travel most of them.
Just an item of discussion to be
Yeah.
thinking about.
Yeah, both ways it's a knife, and we're gonna have to cut her pretty thin both ways probably.
No, but I'm not sure that I need to,
No, I just, what I'm getting at is I hope we increased it enough on rock to maintain some of the plans that we've got for.
Yeah, we can always hope for a drier winter, but
Yeah.
we haven't been blessed with that
No.
lately.
I don't know if we want to hope for a drier winter. It hurts another way.
Yeah, then that hurts in some other way.
Yeah, it does.
Farmers don't want a dry winter.
Let's see.
This was proposed, it wasn't, I guess, the final budget, so.
Yeah, I don't think this is the final budget.
Yeah. It was my working copy.
I can bring that back into you while you, if you wanna look through any of that payroll stuff.
If we're gonna look at doing anything, we need to look at that, see where we're at.
Okay.
Is there any other concerns with this transfer? If not, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the transfer.
I'll second it.
Second by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, in your packet, you have a petition that has been submitted on behalf of Rural Water District Number 1. They are looking to attach some land to their water district. And basically the way the law reads is once we receive the petition, we have to hold a hearing within 30 days, and I have to send notice out at least 7 days before the hearing. So you'll need to set a hearing date, and then we send that out to the landowners. And I would say that you would probably want to do your hearing probably on the 19th, because that gives me plenty of time to send the notices out. We can get those out and then hold the hearing, and it's still within your 30 days, so.
And is that, you have to send notices out to surrounding owners?
It's only to the proposed attached land owners.
Motion to hold the hearing on October 19th.
I know we need to move as quickly as we can. Do let them water.
Right.
Well, do we want to do it, I mean, if you wanted to do it on the 13th, I think I can get them out in time.
Well, I think
We do that. I'd
if
rather
you
do
could,
that.
that would, I think
Okay.
that'd be great.
You want to revise your motion?
Yeah, I will make a motion to hold the hearing on the 13th.
Second.
Second by Ken. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Did their well go dry or what?
No, lost their house to a fire,
Oh,
and with all of the water that was pumped, it contaminated the water system.
oh, that's the people, okay. Now, where you at? Okay.
Is 10 o'clock okay for that hearing?
Yeah, as long as it fits in the.
Yeah, it looks like it does.
I would have a question though, Brad, on that. Means that I own water rights in that district, whether I should abstain from voting on that or not, so. Find out.
I've made that note too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there was a grant offered for the Center of Tech and Civic Life. It was offered for election expenses related to COVID, and I did apply for that grant. And Marion County has been awarded $5,000, and that's going to be used, the items that I submitted that for were to pay for the stylus pens that I ordered, social distancing signage that I ordered, and then wages for cleaning people to extra personnel to help clean on election day at the polling places. And so I didn't know how much they would award us, so that it doesn't cover, it probably wouldn't cover a whole lot, but it's $5,000, and that's gonna help, so. Anyway, we do need to take action for Marion County to accept it and the commission chairman to sign off.
I'll make a motion for Marion County to accept the grant.
A second.
Go ahead, Diane. Second by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you for applying.
Yes.
every bit helps, doesn't it? Also, we have received our $11,800 and some odd dollar check from the Secretary of State's office for expenses I submitted on their funding opportunity. So. Which were COVID. Basically what I submitted on that one, I think I've shown that to you before, was the additional, was the mailer to send out advanced mail applications, additional postage, additional ballot envelopes, facilitate larger vote by mail. And then also our drop box was covered by that, and some other items.
Does your office just send out absentee ballots?
Not recently, no, but there are a lot of other agencies and companies that are sending them out. Wait, what are you asking? The ballots?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I thought you were asking if we just sent out a mailer for applications. No. No, we can't send out a ballot without an application. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of absentee, is they've got to come proof.
You know, all you hear about is these mail-in ballots.
Well, that's the confusion, I think, on that is people get the universal mail-in ballots confused with absentee.
Right.
Universal is if you're.
I know they're
voter
two
registered.
separate things. That's where the issues lie.
And I know that ours is always absentee, so everybody's verified.
Right. So an application is required. We check those in. We have to verify the signature, and the identification information that they provide has to match what we have on file. We send out the ballots, and then when they are returned, we check them back in, and you have to provide the ballot back in the envelope, and it has your information on it. You have to sign it, and we verify that again when they come in.
So that negates any chances of fraud.
It's generally pretty easy to tell if somebody signs somebody else's envelope. So we've had a few that we've had to contact, and a lot of times the spouse will be helpful and take care of it for the other spouse as far as getting it ready to send in. And we've had a few where we've had to contact them and say, hey, can you please come correct this, because this isn't correct. So anyway, it works well. There's a lot of work involved in it, but it works well. So. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Yeah, let's talk about the two different ones.
Yeah, we have had, so there's been a little bit of confusion with voters, because we initially, early this year, we sent out the applications for both elections if people wanted to vote by mail. And so a lot of them filled it out if that was their choice. And then we've had recently another company a company that has sent out a bunch to a whole bunch of voters, and they're sending them out over and over. And it's a legitimate application, and when we get it, we process it. But if there's already one on file, like we've had some people that have filled them out 3 or 4 times, I guess they're being thorough, but I mean, obviously we only can process one application, you only get one ballot, and so we just attach them together. But I think it's causing a lot of confusion when all these groups are promoting things, and same thing with voter registration, you know, there's a lot of people that are already registered, and then they get something in the mail from some third party that says, you know, and so they fill out a new registration even if they don't need to. But, so,
Go right
I
to
mean,
the-
it's
go right to
good.
the
You want-
source if you want it.
Right,
Go
exactly.
Go right to the clerk's office.
That's right. It would make it simpler if people would just come to us to begin with, but we process everything we get, and I'd rather make sure that people are registered than if you're not sure, you know, take a chance of not being up to date, so. But I will say, there's been a lot of confusion about that.
What made it legal for third parties to be able to do that?
Well, they always do. I mean, every major election, you have different political groups or different candidate groups, or, I mean, anybody can provide an application to a voter and say, you know, fill this out if you want to do this.
Still.
They
still
do
comes
it
down
all
to
the time.
Election office to verify everything.
Right, we
So-
still have to verify it all when it comes in, and we will continue to do that, so.
So then they don't keep that. When they send it and you send it back, it goes back to them?
If they send one and that we already have one, we just attach it to the other one. I mean, it's just an extra piece of paper, we just hold on to it. I mean, there's nothing to do with it because they're already done, so. Okay. The next thing that I have on my list of administrative business is the roofing bids. And you might remember we sent out an RFP for several different county buildings for repairs, road and bridge and at the park and lake. And so we did get some bids back. I have been told that I should be checking with the Attorney General to make sure that all these contractors are licensed and insured and everything's up to date. And so I don't know what contractors we have here. I haven't said, I would like to do that prior to you making an award if possible.
They bid on the whole project, or?
They were allowed to either bid certain areas or all, I believe, correct?
Right, I think the way we did the RFP was we would like individual pricing, and then also if they were to receive the whole package, whatever a package discount potentially might be. That's nothing, it was return mail.
Oh. Oh, it was an invite, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah. I have to start sending out standard return. That way they're not all over the place.
Yeah, everybody did a little bit something different.
Right. See who it's from. Okay, this first one's from Ray Roofing. Ray
Ray.
Roofing.
Ray?
W-R-A-Y.
Oh, W-R-A.
W-R-A-Y.
Yeah. So they have the county shop building as $60,825. The county shop truck storage shed for $29,145. They have the Pilsen shop.
Just something we should make a spreadsheet of.
It would be good, but I think I need to announce them.
Yeah, you can announce them, and then I can provide it all back to you in a manageable format for when you make the award.
Yeah, that would be best, but I think for the purpose of this, I still need to announce them. So, all they're double-sided. Oh, man. All right, so Pilsen shop,
sum of $40,518. Lake Hall, sum of $35,350. The south shop roof is $18,985. South building is $18,840. And the shop west of the dam is $8,485.
848.
8,485.
I'll let you do that, make a
Did
spreadsheet.
he give a total? The whole contract?
Did not get a total.
Okay.
So I guess we'll have to sum it all up.
That was lower discount to get it all.
All right. Got Trust Roofing LLC.
What is it called?
Trust,
Trust?
TRUST. Does anybody want to look at that one?
Gave us the numbers.
Yeah.
First of all, we're,
Okay. Well,
man,
just trying to make sure it'll have to all be gone through for apples too, so. Okay. All right, county shop building. It's probably another. Okay. County shop building on Copel, is $78,136.80. Truck storage is $12,964. South shop is $11,043.20. South building replace is $12,971. Pilsen shop is $6,201.96. That was for composition shingles. The repair of existing metal roof is $11,000 on the Pilsen shop is $11,200. So it looks like there's a couple different options there. Marion County Park, Lake Hall repair metal roof is $12,964. They put an option in here to remove and install a new gutter system at $840. Also, County Lake Park. The shop west of the dam, they bid to remove and replace gutter 5-inch at $720.
So nothing on the roof on that?
could be lost in here somewhere, but
Okay.
everybody's different bid format. Yeah, that's why I like the AIA forms, and everything comes in as a standard. Everybody's bid looks the same.
Do we ever request bids that way? I don't know what you're talking about, but it would be nice if they had forms that, this is the form you use.
I really
Those are
appreciate it.
like generally what the engineers use,
Yeah.
and they write out the spec on it, and then they bid a spec. And I'm sorry, but I'm not qualified to set those specs, so
Oh.
it's unlikely that we could utilize that.
Right. This is Stanfield Roofing. That's also helpful in AIA forms when they go for payment applications after they already have the job, like the transfer station. That's where it shows you the amount of contract and then remaining on contract. I mean, it just standardizes all that information.
So if we did that, we'd add another 20% for engineering.
Pretty much.
Whatever that, no, we don't
And
want to do
the
that.
working industry has their own system already.
Okay, Stanfield Roofing.
Where they're from.
They are, let's see, El Dorado. This is gonna be fun.
I think
This
that
is-
might be the one that submitted photographs after.
Yeah, this is all still Stanfield. Also. Which. Okay.
Sorry, we could have opened them and put them all together, but a lot of times you will like to open them yourselves.
Right. Trying to figure out which project this one's on. So this one's on the, it's got the county shop, because they got the Cobble Street
Okay.
on it. Their amount is $65,868.26. County has an optional deduct of $2,250 to provide dumpsters. There's an they have an additional $55 per man hour, if there's damaged decking. This is also,
Would that be south truck, or the truck storage at the shop, south shop, or excuse me, at the shop?
yeah, so, it's also the Cobble Street.
Truck storage, yeah.
Yeah. So it is, the amount is $17,476.31. This one here is the South Shop North Building. Is $9,337.78. This one is the South Shop North Building.
Was it one of those buildings at the South Shop had, didn't they did have some structural issues, rusting out or something? Seems like that was brought up to us.
Anyway, the amount is
What a metal building.
$8,963.28. So, one is So Pilsen Shop, metal roof replacement is $2,942.84. Pilsen Shop, metal roof restoration is $8,669.11. Lake Hall metal roof restoration is $13,418.81. They have an additional $2,100 for guttering and 4 downspouts. Lake Shop metal roof restoration of $4,262.22. An additional $800 for guttering and 2 downspouts. It's all appear to be cut sheets. The membrane and they're acrylic.
They did quite extensive. Copy
I think there was one company that gave an insurance report and said that some of the damage is likely due to the hailstorms and could be possibly submitted to insurance. I'm not sure which company that was, so. Excuse me.
One more.
Bubble wrap. It's safe. All right. UC roofing.
Spell that.
YUTZY.
Yahtzee.
Where they from?
Partridge.
What had you here? That's good.
Sent a long sample of their membrane. Okay, county shop. Decipher, 58,000. Truck storage shed, 17,440. South shop north is 12,200. Install new metal on south roof is 9,500. Roof restoration, Remington Road,
Would be Pilsen.
Pilsen, 8,800. Install new metal on Remington Road roof is 4,100. Metal roof restoration on the Lake Hall, 12,400. Additional gutters on the lake halls, $2,900.
It sounds like maybe the lake hall needs gutters. What do you guys think?
Good luck on trying to put that on a spreadsheet.
Oh, it'll be fun.
Shop west side of dam is $3,500. Looks like a restoration. New gutters on the shop on the side of dam, option as $1,300. All just pictures. Okay, that was the end of them.
Yeah, your local roofing contractors.
Very different.
Close.
Okay,
Patient, service, better format.
okay, so I'll try to put that together, verify that we're licensed, insured, and bring that back to you.
Has our insurance been aware of this? I mean, are they contacted or anything?
I will check with the department heads, but I don't know that they have been, so.
Okay.
I was gonna say, there's potential hail damage on some of them, I would think.
Yeah, that's what somebody had put forward.
Especially County Lake and probably after October.
Yep. So, well, we can check into that a little bit too. Okay. Well, that's all I have on administrative. That's enough.
Okay. All right. So we have, next on the agenda is Attorney Pat Hughes, executive session, potential litigation. Okay. Oh, I seen somebody else there earlier, so I didn't look up. All right, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation. For item number 2, consultation with attorney-client privilege for a time of
Why don't we take half an hour?
30 minutes with Pat, Brad, the board. Do we need anybody else?
I think so.
Okay. Pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, so we'll be in executive session for 30 minutes and we'll resume at 10:25. Cell phone time,
Okay.
right? Okay.
I just got an email from Camp Qualls for the virtual conference for the October 14th. Got all the stuff on it that we need.
Phyllis.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. This time, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation. Item number 2, consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege, for a matter of 10 minutes. 10 minutes with the board, Brad and Pat. pursuant to KSA 75-4319.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
So 10 minutes.
Okay.
Enough time for you to just restart the.
We'll restart the virtual meeting at 10:40.
All right.
Hello, Tom.
You're gonna do 10 more?
No,
Yes.
no, Tom,
Yes.
Tom said that.
For another session.
No, we
But
are.
not,
This conference will now be
No
recorded.
meeting.
All right, out of executive session, no action taken. At this time, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss consultation with our attorney. Item number 2, attorney-client privilege,
Matters of litigation, research.
matters of litigation. For 10 minutes with the board and Brad pursuant to KSA 75-4319. Second by Kent. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay.
Virtual meeting comes up.
So, let's see, it's 10:41 on my cell phone, so 10:51.
Should be plenty.
Okay, back at 10:51.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. I guess move on. Want you road and bridge, Bryce, should have been part of the second packet.
Okay. And so, I didn't know Bryce wasn't gonna be here, so he's not?
No, he's not.
Okay.
This is what he told me.
We have a budgeted transfer.
Okay. Got a budgeted transfer of $133,333.34. From the Road and Bridge Fund to the Special Machinery and Equipment Fund.
Is that a scheduled?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
Motion by Kent to approve the transfer.
I'll second it.
Second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. To approve. Going to start off with the 2020-17. It's for the rural water district. Formed from the northwest quadrant of intersection 270th and Limestone to the southeast quadrant. Dig for in will be on private property.
Which district is this?
Number 1.
Also,
Okay, Kent makes a motion to approve,
Second.
second by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2020-18. It's for Tri-County Telephone. Placing buried fiber starting at 290th and Kansas Road, going west to Highway 15. In the north road right away, then south to 6th Street at Durham, then west through Durham to Goldenrod, then south 1.5 mile to 270th, then east 1 mile to Highway 15. Plow fiber 42-inch, place in back scope. Will contact Bryce with concerns. This is, I believe, the alternative route that they had to go to get around the Board of Engineers. Yeah, and so it really, but they made a way around it, but they didn't get anything with the
So that's the reason for this, so,
Longer route.
Oh, way longer.
But no potential customers possibly.
I don't know which route they were gonna come down through, and East Shore too. So, but I'll make a motion to approve this, permit, Tri-County Telephone.
Second.
Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, one more. We got 2020-19. This is Idea Tech Telecom LLC. Bearing fiber optic cable at a depth of 36 inches in the right of way along the north side of 120th Street, starting at approximately 0.32 miles west of Florence city limits. Fiber will continue to the east in the right of way to the Florence city limits. All road undercrossings will be done using directional bore and will be placed inside of a 1.25" Schedule 40 orange duct. Portions where no existing utilities or obstructions are encountered, fiber may be placed using vibratory plowing at the safe depth. Undercrossing is just 77.
Are we worried about the depth? I mean, Tri-County's going deeper.
Yeah, I think that
I don't know which standard.
their requirement is 36. If it's direct buried, if it's, they don't really pose a hazard to life, so I don't think that their depth is really required other than their own physical protection. I know if it was electrical, it'd be 36 minimum. Unless it was encased in conduit. Anyway, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve Idea Tech Telecom Permit 2020-19.
Second.
Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They're on 1/10 next weather out right now. Goes on 1/10.
Kinda like all those permits coming through for fiber. Not gonna lie, I like it a lot.
Definitely enhancement to internet.
Just one for everyone.
Except when you get a job to go dig around them.
Yeah.
And you cut it.
Well, at least they can splice them now. Back in the day, they had to rerun them.
Yeah.
So it looks like we only have 2 bids. Area Feel Good from EP Service and from MFA Oil.
And these you can split by
Split.
area. If you need to.
Looks like EPS is low on Area 1. Looks
Area
like
3.
MFA is Area 2. And EPS is low on Area 3. So I would make a motion to go with EPS on Area 1 and 3, and with MFA on Area 2. Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The values for area one was 1,916.60. Area three was 2,650.55. And area two is 2,698.80. If anybody needs to write that down. Just give it to you. Those.
One extra copy if she
Okay.
wants them.
All right. I think that's all there was for Road and Bridge. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, that I have.
Okay. So, move on to Sharon, planning and zoning.
Morning. Thank you. There's a memo in addition to the draft resolution that was sent by email. As authorized by the Board of County Commissioners, Pat Hughes drafted possible amendments to the county zoning regulations in order to more clearly enable the revocation or suspension of a CUP. These amendments pertain to Article 19 and 27 of the regulations. Can you all hear me okay?
You're six
Okay.
feet away.
Okay.
There you go.
That's better.
It's hard to understand when you're listening. Okay, so the amendments pertain to Article 19 and Article 27 of the zoning regulations. Notice of a public hearing was given pursuant to KSA 12-743 and KSA 12-757. The public hearing on September 24th, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the following text amendments. And if you've all had a chance to look through those, I probably won't read the entire page unless you have specific questions. If you'll turn to the very last page of that memo, the purpose of this request was specifically related to having code provisions in place if it became necessary to suspend or revoke the conditional use permit to bring NL into compliance with the road maintenance agreement. Further amendments to Article 27 just pertaining to the general provisions of that wind energy conversion systems overlay district will continue at the next regular planning commission meeting. But there is a portion of Article 27 that is included in this text amendment. Do you have any questions for me on this proposed language, or any questions in general about this?
No, I did listen into it, and it was explained very well, and you did a good job on that. And so I think you complied exactly with what the commission submitted in this particular amendment.
It gives some clarity to the process and the mechanism in being able to pursue a suspension or revocation if it's necessary. And Pat did a nice job of spelling out the different things to evaluate when, you know, if a case were to go to the planning commission. Those are all on page 3 of this memo.
So, Make a motion to approve these as presented.
Yeah, so you're gonna wanna say, a motion to approve resolution 2020-26.
Dave. Make the motion.
Motion to approve
Motion to approve,
2020-26.
I've written 2020-26.
Second by, I'll second it. Ken? Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I did not bring another paper copy of the resolution, so if they were gonna. Okay.
As long as there were no changes made from what was even.
There were no changes made.
I think that's all.
Okay, that was all the business I had today.
Right.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's Isaac. All right, Park and Lake, Isaac.
Little icy.
What? Hold on, no.
So I'm passing around some electrical bids for the lake hall. The project that we are trying to get done here is outdoor power source on the front, the east side of the lake hall for our events, like the chili cook-off that we have coming up this weekend and the Bluegrass Festival. The chili cook-off vendors set up in front of the lake hall out on the road there. And during our Bluegrass Festival, that's where we line up our food vendors. In the past, it's kind of the one thing we've had issues with is we run our power source from the lake hall and we're overloading the breakers. So they're tripping, we're constantly having to unplug things, plug things back in. And so this project here is gonna try to get rid of that problem. I do wanna let the board know the funds from this are going to be from our lake fund that we've raised money from the Bluegrass Festival and the chili cook-off and other events and donations that we have. That is what we'll be paying for this project. But in front of you are 3 bids that we've gotten. There's gonna be 12 outlets. We're gonna have to extend the breaker panel, add another panel. So each one of those outlets can have its own breaker to try to help fix the problem of tripping those breakers there in the hall. But that's what we're trying to do here.
Elcon Services is the lowest bid? Is that
Yes.
correct?
That's correct.
Could you read out the bids for the, Jonah, would you mind reading out the bids for the people on the virtual meeting, please?
All right, so we have a bid from Landmark Electric at $3,698.44. We have a bid from Sanders Electric for $3,100. And we have a bid from Elcon Services at $1,980.
Is this all the bids you have for this project?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I'd make a motion to go with Elcon Services for the price of $1,980 for this project.
I'll second that.
And a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I would just say this is the way it should always be done. Commission, who provides the service. I think this is the right way to go. So that's just a comment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those abstaining? Aye.
Okay, and then next week I was originally supposed to do my quarterly update, so I'm gonna just let you guys know of a few other things. Our chili cook-off is this weekend. We will be doing it. Tina has informed me that they have some big social reminders of social distancing and some other things that we will be putting up there out at the lake hall. But we are gonna be doing our chili cook-off car show and cornhole tournament as planned. That'll be Saturday. Our first half of the CFAP report was turned in last week. The state has come out and they stopped here a week before Labor Day. They put in some more channel catfish. And then last week, they were out doing some test netting and shocking, looking at fish populations. He said everything looks really good. And then we are still zebra mussel clear. They did their testing for that early this spring. The results finally came back, and we are still good on that. So that was good news. The last thing, real big thing that's kind of been going on is the heated dock. I've talked to Dave, and I believe I've talked to Jonah about this. Our last meeting, which would have been the week before Labor Day, I think it was August 30th, we decided Dave and I were gonna try to meet with Ben and talk with him. Right after the meeting, I called Ben. Dave wanted to go up and meet with him the next day on Tuesday. He said he had a family emergency, was in Oregon. He said he would be in Oregon for 2 weeks. So he said he'd call me as soon as he got back. 2 weeks passed by, didn't hear from him, so I called him. Now he's didn't answer, 2 days passed, called me back. He's stuck in California, can't fly out because of the wildfires. Said he would call me when he gets back. I still have not heard from him. So that's been since August 30th. That's what's progressed since then.
We need to direct the county attorney to get involved.
Yeah, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 2, consultation with our attorney, potential litigation for 15 minutes,
How about 20?
20 minutes
You got a story to tell.
with the board, Brad and Isaac, pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so 20 minutes. I'll be back at 11:35.
Okay.
So the meeting will resume at 11:35.
72 minutes.
That's all for me. Unless you guys have any other questions for me.
This conference will now be recorded.
You got a lot of people signed up for the weekend, or they signed up ahead of time?
Out of executive session, no action taken.
Which is the most that we've had, and normally if you show up, we're going up, so
Good.
we'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Say again, out of executive session, no action taken. So move on to Deidre. She is on, I don't know, haven't got back on.
Hold on one sec.
There's a baby cooing in the hallway.
Can people on the virtual meeting hear? Deidre, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Deidre,
Okay. As of 7:30 this morning, we're at 69 positive confirmed PCR cases, 37 probable, 6 active. Total tested is 1842. Now, remember the county dashboard, we include antigen testing numbers. So our negative testing was 1736 and currently 0 hospitalizations. However, KDHE is starting to send the county positivity rates. And so I just received one while you guys were in executive session. It's at 9:30. The PCR positives from KDHE are 69. The PCR negative tests are 1330. And the PCR total tests are 1399 for a percent positivity rate of 4.93%. So that's what our county is showing according to PCR tests. So yesterday I gave you the link to the press release, or
Deidre,
Governor Kelly.
You're cutting out, Deidre, from a little bit here and there.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah. I would just have to go again, hopefully.
Okay. So I had sent you guys the link to the press release where Governor Kelly applauds the new CMS guidance on nursing home visits. The release identifies the direction of CMS that nursing facilities adhere to certain core principles of COVID-19 infection prevention at all times, including social distancing, temperature screens, and cleaning protocols. There was a link to the requirements for indoor and outdoor visitation on that release, and the parameters using county positivity rates were given when determining indoor visits. Facilities that do not adopt the new guidance without valid reason for keeping their doors closed will face monetary penalties. And you have to keep in mind, though, that these are some new guidance. So nursing homes do have to develop those policies and procedures before they can implement the type of visiting that is requested. So also keep in mind that KDADS, which is the Kansas Department for Aging and Disability, they collaborate with CMS to regulate the nursing facilities in the state. I have asked some Marion County facilities to be on this call and let you know their visitation plans. Bethesda Home is represented by Sarah Hebert and Kelly Kidd. Salem is represented by Peter and Jody Ham. Peabody Health and Rehab is represented by Melissa Parmley. Parkside Homes represented by Don Vay and Melanie Floring. And St. Luke Living Center is represented by Janet Herzit. Each facility will have the opportunity to identify how their facility is conducting or will be conducting visitation. Earlier this morning, Kathy from Marion Assisted Living was going to be on the call, but she can't. So she had said that they have been doing outside visits for a couple of months and are starting inside visits with testing on all visitors. This visitation has caused the homes some staffing issues. So it's not just real easy for them to implement these things quickly. So why don't we start with Sarah and Kelly, if you'd like to give kind of your visitation plan that you're doing there in Bethesda.
Sure. This is Sarah, and I'm the administrator here. And first of all, thank you just for letting us come in and share a little bit about what's going on with long-term care facilities. I think a lot happens that people are not aware of how we're regulated and how things happen behind the scenes here. And it's not just, not a lot of people understand what and how we're regulated. So just to give you an update, March 13th was the day that CMS instructed that we close our doors for all visitors. And so that again was not a decision that we made. That was completely at a government or a government type entity regulation for us. We have not been able to have any visitors except some compassionate care visits until last week because of staffing, because of PPE needs, because of need for mandatory COVID testing that we have to do on all of our staff. Just to not feel like we were in a safe place to do that. I think the other thing that a lot of people in the community don't understand is we do get fined substantial amount of money for having positive COVID cases and when there's infection control issues. And so the thought of opening our doors freely is a little overwhelming and scary, to be quite honest with you. Do we want them closed? No, by all means not. We want visitors to be able to come in and see their loved ones. We totally agree that this is very hard for the residents and for their families, and that, the likelihood that we will have more deaths related to loneliness and depression are higher than probably what we will see of COVID. But we also we're kind of getting punished both ways, whether we have a case or not, even though we're doing everything we can. So after the guidance came out, we did start implementing that Monday morning. We started with visits. Right now, Bethesda Home, how we have it organized, because of staffing, it takes a lot of time and energy to get people through the screening process. So what we are doing is we have visits that families are able to call ahead of time and schedule. They can come in on Tuesday mornings, Wednesday mornings, and Friday afternoons. They're allowed 25 minutes to visit. And then there's a lot of sanitation process that has to be done between each visit. So this morning I've been doing visits, and it's taken 2 staff members the entire 3 hours that we've been outside to go back and forth, and that doesn't include the staff getting the residents ready and sanitized and stuff before getting them out there. So that's what we're doing. They're only outside visits at this point. We're hoping to gear up for indoor visits once it gets colder, but for right now, we're going to take advantage of what's happening outside, to be outside. So Kelly is our director of nursing. Kelly, do you want to add anything?
I think at this time, with trying to think here, with allowing the visitors inside the building, when we have to test the staff, that's another one of our big concerns, is when we have to test the staff, but yet we have outside visitors coming in to the building, then, how are we going to know if we do get COVID in our building, where exactly is that COVID coming from? Is it coming from a staff member, or is it coming from a visitor? So there again, that's one of the questions that comes up from our staff if we're allowing visitors in the building. Yes, like Sarah said, we do absolutely want to allow the visitors in, but then we also have that same question, if CMS is mandating that we have to be testing the staff, then why aren't we having to test all of the visitors coming into the building as well to make sure that they are COVID-free too? So that's just something else to ponder as well. That's all I have.
Yeah, and I was just gonna, thank you, Kelly, because I was just gonna add in too about testing. For this week, we don't even have enough tests to test all of our staff. We're only testing the nursing staff this week. And I'm working with a lab to do some testing, but we're looking at anywhere from $50 to $120 per test. And when you have 105 employees, that's a substantial amount of money that I don't believe anybody, countrywide nursing homes have the ability to pay for that for long term. I think that's all we have, Deidre.
Maybe ask a question.
Okay, thank you,
Deidre,
Sarah.
Deidre,
And
Deidre, Diane's got a question.
okay.
Deidre, may I ask a question? Because Kelly brought up a very interesting point that they have to test, and those tests are $50 to $120 per test. So my question is there something that the county can do to assist in that? I know in Sedgwick County, because I did call Sedgwick County Health Department the other day, and I spoke to that administrator, and the county there pays for the tests through the CARES program. And so I'm just wondering if the county were to be able to provide funding through the CARES program or some other way to help pay these tests, would that help in providing more visitation or lax a lot of the pressure from the nursing homes? Or would there be something else that as a county we can do to help assist in this, is my question.
Well, and that's something that I have said all along in the Sparks meetings. I have said, we need to designate some money for the long-term care facilities and assisted living facilities. And that would have been, that's a very good place. And I hope that I can continue to get members of that task force to realize how important that is.
Is there something the county can do to help enforce that importance to those people? To at least look at that as to where we can get some money from that for the nursing homes or the assistant and independent living facilities?
Deidre, I think I've seen some of these entities come across on the profit and not-for-profit grant applications.
Correct. Yes.
So is that the most efficient way to provide them help at this point?
Yes, and I think I've been, because Anthony kind of is doing the profit and nonprofit, and much like we did the schools where they allocated X amount of dollars for students, I think I have been suggesting they look at the facility, the numbers, and the staff, because these facilities have been dealing with it since March, and as they mentioned, and will continue, as we hear from all the different facilities, it's not a quick fix, and they are having to add additional staff, and it's very important that they see a good portion of that Sparks money.
I think Anthony told us last week that each school district received $335 per student. So if that is something that Marion County would be interested in doing, I think it would be best possibly to do something for each staff member and resident per facility, something like that. Because there could be a time where we have to test twice a week, in which we think we would not have to do. But the truth is, there very well be a possibility we would have to do that.
This is Dawn Bay from Parkside Homes. The other issue is our ability to get the testing supplies. When CMS ordered that we do all of this testing with the machines that they sent us out to do the rapid testing, they bought out the full supply of the company. And so it's going to be, of course, now we're getting closer to October where maybe we can get some more supply. They also then contracted with another company to get a cardboard type test. It's also a rapid test. Again, they bought out the full supply of the company. There will not be any more available until after the first of the year.
Wow.
So that's the other piece to that.
So Peter and Jody, do you want to talk about Salem Home?
I think that's the same thing I was gonna say. It's right now, it's not even about getting people tested. It's now trying to get the testing kits. Yes, we got the machines. We actually got 2 of them right now here, but getting the supplies is a problem. I think we have enough for this week and next week, and we are only testing the staff. We are not even testing the family members. So that's gonna be the biggest challenge. And like Sarah and Kerry said, yes, it's a problem because we don't know who is gonna bring it here. Yes, we can test our staff, but all these family members, we don't know where they go, and we are not regularly testing them, and you know that's really a problem. And some things even with the CMS are not very clear, you know, because, you know, you think about it, you know, anybody can get it, whether it's a staff member or a visitor. So really, they should have said, oh, the visitors also needed to be tested. And the biggest challenge is the time you have to spend on testing people and doing all these visitations. And we have actually been doing like very much what Bethesda is doing, and I can have Jody explain more. Go ahead.
So in the middle of August, we started doing outside visits on we have a covered front porch. Those are going well. All of our visits are scheduled the same as Bethesda is doing. We have one person scheduling and coordinating visits. Starting last week, we started broadening some of our compassionate care visits because we were doing the same end-of-life type visits. We have now expanded that to residents who are unable to go outside for visitation for various reasons, whether it's physical, dementia, or decline in mood. Some of the complicating factors that we're seeing are residents who can't comply with the social distancing or wearing a mask during visitation, as well as families who don't comply with the rules that are put forth, including scheduling the visits and abiding by the guidelines that the facility has put in place. Staff, most nursing facilities are already short-staffed. It's difficult to designate a staff member because all visitation are supposed to be supervised. We also utilize agencies for meeting some of our staffing needs, and we test agency staff because they go to various facilities. We have a limited availability also testing supplies, and with the upcoming flu season, I see that, you know, we're going to have further complications as we get further into the flu season. And I guess another thing would be the reliability of the testing supplies that we receive. These rapid tests are really intended to be used for symptomatic individuals within the first 7 days of illness, and we are using them for surveillance of asymptomatic individuals. And that's all.
Deidre,
Thank you, Jody. Peter.
Deidre, this is Ken. Is it going to be a requirement I mean, does this positivity rate that we have, does that dictate that anyone, family member or loved one that would visit, is that a requirement that they have to be tested?
The positivity rate is used to determine the criteria that they use for visits. It kind of outlined it in that release, where if you have a low positivity rate of less than 5%, then visitation can occur according to the core principles, and they're considered medium rate if it's between 5 and 10%, and then high is above 10% of the county rate. And it's my understanding, and the nursing homes can probably address this, and Melissa, I can let you maybe address that and then talk to your, about what Peabody Health and Rehab is doing, because it's my understanding that they can use positivity rates either provided by KDHE or CMS, but they do have to document which rates they are using. So Melissa, if you want to tag on to that.
Okay, yes, when we're in the low percentage, that does below 5%, that dictates our plan at Peabody Health and Rehab. I agree with everything that has been said so far, but with tests running low and us right in that medium range of 4.93%, we're almost in medium of 5 to 10%, which puts us back at weekly testing. If we are below 5%, we can test monthly. Like everyone said, these test supplies are in shortage. I mean, we have enough for this week. We went with last week's testing percentage or positivity percentage, which was like 2.9. So we were excited. We were going to do monthly testing, and now we're right there where we could be back at weekly testing with the next release of rates. So all of the facilities need more tests, bottom line. I am a member of a forum that is administrators across the nation. In other states, they saw what CMS put out, and they have made quick adjustments requiring all visitors to be tested. So who knows? 5 minutes after this meeting's over, Kansas could say, you know what? We messed up by saying open the doors, and now we need to test all the visitors. And then what are we going to do because we don't have the availability of those tests? We started outside visits this past Sunday. Our plan says that we will remain at any stage that we are in for 2 weeks. So outside visits would be 2 weeks before we would even look at the indoor visits. But again, those positivity levels play into where we go with our visits. If we're in that medium range, it's going to be inside visits for compassionate care, end of life situations only. The press release that Governor Kelly applauded CMS's recommendations. I don't know how to say this. She's also the same governor who excluded long-term care facilities from all healthcare groups from any limits of litigation.
Exactly.
I guess some other things I would have to say is I wish that the Sparks group would designate the funds quickly to us, because schools opened in August and we've been dealing with this since March. And one of the other things I want to say that the other buildings have already said is all of this requires a lot more staff that we already don't have. We're very short as an industry, and they don't anticipate that the shortage of staffing in long-term care is going to end anytime soon. So all of these things that CMS is asking us to do, they're great ideas, some of them, but it's implementing those ideas and implementing them in their time frame. It's a challenge. Did I explain anything?
I guess I'm confused. We're talking about outdoor visits, you know, as long as this weather holds, this is a short-term fix, but does a visitor have to be tested for an outside visit?
Not at this point, and they don't have to be tested to come inside, which is a concern for all of us, I believe, because we're having to test ourselves as staff. We have to test our vendors, our doctors, our hospice workers, our agency staff members. So we're all getting tested, and then if we have a positive, then we have to do whole house testing, including our residents. But we're gonna let in people off the street who haven't had a test? That's concerning.
Well, I kind of understand that, but, you know, I know right now that the outside visits, it seems to me like, you know, that wouldn't be as big an issue. I know going down the road, the testing is going to be once the weather gets cold, but I guess I've got a question of Parkside. Are you allowing outside visitations outside of the cubicle, whatever you've got?
Dawn, are you still on?
Dawn or Melanie, if you're on from Parkside, you might go ahead and explain your process.
Can I add one thing to that statement though, Kent?
Yeah.
I believe that too,
Yeah.
who asked the question. Outside visits are great, but they're extremely time consuming, and you still have to have all of your infection control measures in place. So just keep that in mind as well. They're not allowed to touch. You have to keep 6 foot social distancing.
Okay.
Masks have to be worn by both parties.
This is Dawn.
Hey, Dawn.
And we've been doing outside visits for several months. We have a booth that we built with plexiglass. And so once the resident and the family member get in place on each side of the glass, we allow them to take their masks off and they have a conversation. Some people even bring meals to enjoy together or different things. We had one gentleman who had his great grandkids put on a little show for him out and stuff. You know, the issue with those is you do have to watch because people don't abide by what the rules are for not touching and different things. And so it's just like everyone else said, it's the amount of staff, because even when we do outside visits, we do a health screening on the people that come to do those visits, including temperature checks, etc. So we have to do that, just, you know, getting the resident back and forth, and then sanitizing the booth then after the visit before we have anybody else go out there. And then overseeing what's going on so that there's not. Yeah, and, you know, we would be great testing families when they come in. I'd be glad to have them come in every week if we could get them tested every week, because then that'd make us feel, you know, much more comfortable.
So from a county commission's point of view, we have people calling us, I'm only speaking for myself, saying, County Commission, we've got to be able to see our parent. And we have to be able to communicate with them. I mean, what else can we do?
And you're not alone in that. I get the calls too, right? But I think that the original discussion that you brought up the other day was how do we move up the chain and get to the person that can make a difference? Because obviously we can't absolve them of any liability at a county level. Is that only a governor's position?
Pretty much. You don't have any ability.
So we've got to.
We had talked at the commission level last week about, of course, we're meeting with you as administrators now, but also bringing in our state legislators into this conversation, which probably needs to happen, but it's going to happen way too slow. They don't even reconvene until what? January. But something has to be done at the state level to facilitate this litigation issue. There's no doubt about that. But that doesn't answer the person that calls me up and says, my mom is dying, not from her health, but from depression. And boy, that breaks your heart.
This is Dawn from Parkside, and I know we can't share information, because of HIPAA laws, etc., but that's something that we watch all the time is for the mood of residents, etc., and look to provide any intervention that we can. Usually when two different sides tell their side of the story, the truth is somewhere in the middle of that. And so, we have a lot of different things that they can do. We were able to, through some state funds, get some iPads so we can do Skype visits, Zoom visits, Facebook visits, for the residents, which we've been doing the whole time. We also do window visits in the courtyard, or if they have an outside window, the family can come up to the window anytime and look through, and then they just talk to each other on the phone when they're doing that. And like I said, for the last few months, we've been doing the outside booth visits, and there's a lot of laughter going on and all kinds of things with that. We even had residents, after the letter was put in the paper, our residents wrote a letter in response to that, and when we tried to get it in the local paper, they said, well, there's going to be an editorial this week, so why don't you wait and see what the editorial says, and then see if you still want to publish the letter that they wrote. And so we will be making sure that letter gets published, because those residents need to be heard just as well as anyone.
On these visitations, how do you handle the visual and the hearing impaired, which a lot of them are?
I can speak to that. This is Sarah from Bethesda. What we do is, if it's an outside visit like what we did today, there's two residents who one could not hear well, so we asked if they wanted a staff person to sit between and basically translate again so the resident could hear, and most of our families are very open to that. The other one, what we did was we put gloves on and we passed a notebook back and forth so that they could read, and that was their normal communication when they were inside our building. So we've also bought amplifiers for our online conversations, and so that has definitely helped. I do want to just backtrack and add one more thing to the question before, and that is, as an administrator, if you are getting phone calls from community people or from family members, as an administrator, I would really like to hear from you personally that you're getting those calls, because maybe I'm not doing a very good job with my communications to families and educating them on what's going on. So again, I think it's education. It's not just Marion County, it's countrywide. People just don't understand that we are so highly regulated. It's not us making these choices. And about a month ago, I asked every Bethesda family, we send it out in the church to all the churches to start contacting legislators, and it's at a state level, but it's also the federal level. And I think that's the only way, is the more noise we make, the more that change is going to happen. But us sitting quiet is not doing anything. And you're right, at a county level, you can't really do anything. But all of us together, if we keep making noise, maybe there's hope in the future that finally long-term care and the residents that we serve will finally be heard.
Dieter?
Yes.
This is Randy. I've heard what we have done. My concern is that I know that none of us can sit here and tell anybody when this COVID goes away. And we're getting ready to go into a cold weather season. The outside visits is most likely going to go away, because one of my phone calls has been about a person that did have an outside visit, but that person is a cold person, and it was a chilly day apparently, and they was on the north side of the building, and so it just didn't work out very good for that visit that day. But my concern to the homes is, are we preparing ahead for this winter, and to have some sort of communication skills coming up for this winter, preparing ahead? That's my question to all of you.
Well, and I don't know how thorough you read that press release, but in there it said they would award facilities $3,000. Well, we all know that's not going to go very far to provide a tent or to provide plexiglass. You know, that's just not a lot of money.
So Deidre, I have a question also, and from what I'm hearing is, and I do want to tell you that I appreciate all the safeguards that you're putting in place, and I understand your intent and what you're trying to do as far as protection. But sitting here just as an individual thinking that I go to visit my mother or my father and I don't have COVID and I can't hold their hand or hug them, knowing that they're in a nursing home, but yet a staff member can come in and do that. Now, I recognize that the staff member gets tested. So I'm going to go back to my original question. To resolve that problem, and I know we talked about the CARES money, but to speed up a process or to change some of that stuff, what can we as a county do? Are we going to can you actually make provisions in the CARE to get some money for more testing? I know you said supplies are short, but then I bring up the question of the rapid test versus the nose swab, because when I was talking to the man down in Wichita the other day, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on that nose swab, you take the test one day, you don't get the results for 3 days, so you might not have had it the day you got tested, but then you might have got it 2 days afterwards, so that's kind of I don't know, that's kind of not a perfect test anyway. So they're coming out with a lot of those rapid tests, and so where can we as a county get you guys some more tests so that these people can go in and actually hold the hands of their family?
So until CMS, this is Jody at Salem, until CMS relaxes, you know, they're enforcing the social distancing rule, whether tested or not, on visitors. So until that changes, even if we test visitors, we are required to ensure that they socially distance during their visits.
Well, and so I think, as one of the commission mentioned, we need to go further up the chain and get some of these CMS providers or to listen, because, and I'm going to say something that I think we're doing a lot of testing for screening that is not always necessary, but it is what's required. So I think these testing requirements are being made by people that are not quite realistic, as we've seen all through this pandemic. And because, as they mentioned, you can test negative one day and then be positive the next day. I think the nursing homes have done a fantastic job of keeping it out of their homes or facilities, and I also think that they are much more prepared to monitor people for symptoms. I mean, I'll be honest with you, fever is not a huge symptom of a lot of the cases we're investigating. You know, the oxygen level seems to be a little more critical in monitoring and getting treatment quicker. I think providers are more aware of that. So I think we need to talk to these people and, like Sarah mentioned, get together and make noise for the people making the regulations.
I'm sorry, Dietrich, one final question, and I'm just sitting here thinking, as I read that 6-foot distancing regulation, and even in Marion County, as we abide by that 6-foot requirement, I think that also goes on to say something about except for short intervals. For example, if you're just passing somebody by or something like that.
Correct.
So would that not pardon me?
Yeah, we don't consider a contact if it's less than 10 minutes.
Okay, so then for somebody to hold the hand of their parent and say goodbye or something like that for a minute or two is not still acceptable?
Well, and that the facilities need to respond to that and see what is. But you are totally correct. If everybody washes their hands real good, if the resident, you know, but there again, if the family touches the resident and then the resident is going to eat their meal, the facility needs to make sure they wash their hands real good before they eat, and that is staff time to do that. So
this is Dawn from Parkside, and what we're actually going to be doing now with our visits is if they want to hold hands or something, then they'll both just have to wear gloves in doing that. Then also for hugging, now we've gotten rain ponchos. They can wear that, gloves. They'll have to wear a mask and a face shield to be able to hug each other. And so that's what we're going to be doing with our visit.
Glad somebody's trying, but man, that seems like a lot.
It does, like hazmat.
But I do appreciate. I mean, they're trying everything they got.
Yeah.
Well, and I do want you to know that we do have, if you get in a bind and can't order PPE like gloves and such, please let Marcy know. She's kind of in charge of the resource, because we can get that out to you. But I believe you have to show that you tried to order it.
Hey, the other thing I wanted to say about this testing we are doing, point of care testing, they're different from what we have, what the PCR testing are. So even this point of care testing is not 100%. So there have been cases where this point of care testing has been positive, giving wrong results. And so even when we test people and they're negative, it's not 100% sure. So we have to keep that in mind, because PCR seems to be kind of the final test. Because if you test positive with the point of care, you have to be tested with the PCR. So that's something I wanted everybody to understand there, that even with this testing, it's not 100%, really.
Yes, and that is a very good point, and there are several antigen testing platforms out there. There's the BD and the Sophia, and one of them has a little bit better result of testing for positives, but like Peter said, if they test positive, then they're expected to get a PCR. If the PCR comes back negative, then they are good to go, because the PCR, the molecular test, is the gold standard, so to speak, right now. And that's why statistics KDHE uses is only the PCR. Now, on the flip side of that, if they're negative, these testing, the antigen testing platforms do not pull up. They are not near as sensitive to negative. So someone actually could be positive, but it comes up negative. So if they have symptoms and they're testing negative, they are recommended to get a PCR. So keep in mind, these antigen screenings are just screenings.
I've got one other question, and I should have asked it earlier, but there was talks about fines from CMS, and I don't think that fines came from KDADS, but what kind of level of fine are you looking at, just for an
This is Dawn from Parkside.
Yep.
And across the country, they so far have issued $15 million in fines for nursing homes who receive deficiencies. If a facility has a resident with a positive, the surveyors are going to come in and make sure your processes are in place. But then they also did surveys in every building across the country to make sure processes were in place. We did receive one deficiency when they came here because one staff person did not wash their hands between resident rooms when passing ice water. There was one person that didn't put on a new mask going into a resident room on quarantine. We do health screenings, and not all of the blanks were filled in. We had not had an infection control deficiency for 3 years. So we did not receive a fine. Otherwise, we would have been fined for that deficiency.
Does anybody know?
Just because we got any deficiency.
Yeah. Does anybody know one deficiency fine? I'm just curious. I just
like it maybe. Well, I mean, they talked to us at $20,000 by now. So
20,000.
It depends on the scope and. Yeah, go ahead, Dawn.
It's often a per day fine, not just a one-time thing. And as she said, it does depend on what the scope and severity is. And that just means how much harm could come to a person and then how many people are affected by what you did.
Okay.
Yeah, or didn't do.
So there's a little bit of interpretation based on the amount of the fine.
Wow, what a mess.
Yeah.
And then with those fines too, depending on, like Dawn said, the scope and severity of it, if it's an IJ fine, then you can lose your Medicaid funding as well. So meaning it can drop $1 or $2 or whatever per day per Medicaid resident. So you're not only paying fines, but then you're also losing your funding over the next year or two as well.
The only reason why I bring it up is because, you go all the way up the tree, go to Laura Kelly, get her to sign off on keeping them from being litigated, but you've still got this other entity that's gonna throw fines at them. And that's coming from a federal level. That's just, man, it's a horrible position.
A lot of layers.
Do you see any signs or anything, knowing all these restrictions and all these guidelines and all these all this stuff, do you see any indication that people are having second thoughts going forward about putting their family members in these type of homes, even though maybe it's a little tough to keep them at home, but for those who still have that option, do you see any type of reduction going forward Or is it too soon to even consider that? Because I would sit here and I would certainly consider that if it was my family.
I know I've had several friends who are keeping their parents at home.
Actually, that's
so
good
yes,
anyway,
that is occurring.
Yeah, wow.
I'd just like to say thank you to all the nursing homes that got on board here today and let us know what's going on.
Yeah, appreciate the information.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for all you do.
And I would ask if you do come up with something that the commission can actually help, let us know.
Yeah.
Because we don't know either right now. I'll speak for myself. I don't know. I've made several contacts and hit block walls myself. So I don't know, but if you come up with something, you know, we're all in kind of together.
Hey, Janet, is Janet Herzit on the call from St. Luke? I just wanted to give her the opportunity if she is.
I don't see the name, but it doesn't mean it's, I think Dawn is caller 3, so
okay.
Unless she's caller 2.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, but no.
I don't think anything you can answer for me.
Just one other thing, are you going to try to proceed in getting some spark money for the nursing homes, or is that something that we need to do, or on a line item or something like that, or how do we go about doing that, Deidre?
I think some of those applications
Well,
are gonna come across the desk here.
And we can make.
I've tried advocates since the start of this. So if I just have like, I know Dave comes to the task force, so if he can maybe put in some good words, because I think it's really important that they are see a good portion of the funding.
I would agree.
Can I say something? Commissioners, you are actually the ones who can direct the direction of that spark money. If you wish for the committee to reallocate a line item, you can give a directive to them. I would say that I see a potential that many of the cities may not spend the allocation that has been provided to this for city use, because a lot of the cities have not had to make major changes. So there may be funds there that the cities might not use that could be reallocated. There was also some question now of whether certain items submitted by the county for capital projects will be approved and for reimbursement. And but as far as there's a potential that you might be able to reallocate, and where I would see that would be possibly the amounts that have been designated and set aside for cities. Like if the cities aren't going to use them, those could be reallocated towards the long-term care. And I think it was initially supposed to be included in the public health realm, so I'm not quite sure where that fell down. But I just want to say, commissioners, you have the ability to direct the committee to allocate the funds differently if there's something that you see that should be addressed and it isn't.
I believe along with schools, this should be a priority, top priority. Schools, hospitals, and long-term care.
Well, it seems to me like some of the things mentioned, and I haven't been on all the committee meetings because I'm not on the committee. I have gone to some of them just because they've had questions about certain things that are county related. But I believe some of the facilities have received some CARES Act funding directly. I don't know.
No.
They have not, because that was stated at one of the meetings.
The nursing homes at the very beginning, I think you and Janine created a letter that was supposed to go out. I sent that out, And that flow chart that you were referring to, I think, was basically how contacts were made. I think that was the communication flow chart. But I sent out those letters to emails to all the facilities. They followed through with that. I sent them in, and they were not considered in that first round.
Right,
because I was told they weren't government, and so I don't believe anybody has received any monies.
I'm Deidre, I'm not talking about the county Spark money. I'm talking about direct aid, Spark money coming directly from the state or federal government.
Talking about
So,
round 2.
yeah, I'm talking about not our money, not the county's Spark money. I'm talking about other direct payments, like what health and EMS got.
Oh, well, I do know that there are some of the facilities, and I know that Marion Assisted Living, they're categorized differently. So Marion Assisted Living has not received any funding. And I believe Parkside has an assisted living area. So they're treated a little bit different. And Dawn can probably attest to that or give further information.
But in regard to the Spark committee, I think that was one thing that I heard mentioned was they're getting money elsewhere. And that was one of the things I think that went into part of their decision of how to treat them, and to treat them as a grant application rather than a direct allocation, is kind of what I thought I heard them say. So commissioners can redirect this committee if that's your wish. So
I think we need to speak with at least the chair and figure out where.
Well, yeah, I mean, after
they've put some time in, and I don't know
the information that we've received, which, you know, we all knew that how they try to operate under the regulatory system that they have, it's got to be considered a priority. So I think we do need to communicate that to the committee or chairman or wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, and it need to be able to verify whether the second round is going to come in and play a bigger role for that area or wherever.
So can we address a directive then to the chairman that, you know, we expect that to be handled as a priority going forward is in round 2, or going to reallocate from the get-go some of the stuff we've already done?
Round 2, we won't have any say over.
Right.
Okay, so we would have to reallocate from round 1.
Right, if the commission wishes for a portion of the county's allocation to be allocated to specifically this, I think you can give that directive. But you're also going to have to take into consideration that these entities have already been notified of the amount that they are eligible for. And so we just would need to verify that those funds aren't already spent based on that previous approval.
Right.
I'm just saying, as we go along, if there are funds that are not going to be spent, it would be very easy for the board to direct that to be reallocated to this.
Honestly, we probably ought to. I think I get the feel where she's coming from. It's just because we've got the grant applications, kind of like the CBDT, where we've got the situation where we've got this money and we can't give it away.
We need to watch the pot.
So
and make sure it doesn't get wasted.
Right.
So as these grants come through, and I think everybody's seen some of the applications. If that doesn't all get used up, then that pot money can be reallocated to be focused directly on this issue.
Right.
And there's some stuff that's in the pipeline now that I personally don't feel
right
good about it.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring it up Friday, probably doing some things.
Yeah. Especially if an item isn't going to be approved where we thought laws, that's going to hit our budget, because that money is gonna have to be spent appropriately.
I think the county's fine. It's just, there's a lot of new stuff that they're looking at this week.
Okay, well, I'm not
Can
gonna
I-
micromanage it.
Can I add to that? This is Melissa at Peabody Health and Rehab, or do I get to talk?
No, you, go ahead.
So there was some federal money provided to us. I can't tell you the exact amount based on our Medicare
Yes, that's what.
dollars from the previous year. I know that my home office used those monies very quickly to secure PPE. Being part of a corporation has been advantageous in this situation, that we have a large purchasing power, and we did purchase some PPE, and I have a way to get PPE if I need it. Do I think that could run out if we become COVID positive? Absolutely. But everything that is being said about making us a priority, I think we all would appreciate that, because March was a long time ago for us. I don't know if there's anything else I can answer as far as funding goes. Some of the things I requested in my personal grant were, previously we had vendors come in and take care of our floors. We haven't been able to have those vendors come in. So now we need floor machines, and there's been a change in revenue with the doors closed for all of us. Because like you're saying, people are keeping their loved ones at home.
Okay.
We are largely funded by Medicaid in this facility.
All right, I think we have a little bit of an idea and a direction and an understanding of some spark money that may be left over, and we can do something with that. And we've got to make a little bit of time here, and Brad gotta go, and I need to get on to another item before he needs to leave.
So you need to.
I'm going to cut everybody off. I really appreciate your time, but I've got to move on.
Brad, I've just got some questions on, and if you can't update us on some of them, maybe the county lake out there, do we still have a case going out there through planning and zoning? And how many other cases do we have going right now? I mean, next week, if you can probably bring
I
us
can
some
do that,
information.
because there's a number of different things.
Would that be good?
That are all in process, sure.
That'd be good. I'd like to hear some updates on it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sir, any other questions for Brad? Okay. I didn't mean to cut that other conversation off. It's just.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we covered it. All right.
Okay. You still maybe not know enough, but.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna go on to the last part, which is public comments. Does anybody have anything to address the commission about? There's nobody in the room, except Phyllis. I don't want that to come out wrong. Yeah.
It's all right. I've heard much.
All right, well, I can't see anybody unmuting the mic, so I will go ahead and close public comments and move on to commission comments. Oh,
Are you still gonna do your executive session for the appraiser position?
is that something we still want to do today? Okay, then,
I mean, you could still do your commission comments ahead of that if you want to.
is there any commission comments?
I have one. This concerns, I don't know about all the towns in our county, who's regulated by postmasters and stuff about the postal service. But in the last few years, they've been improving their mailbox service and things like that. Lately, in Peabody, I've had postal boxes put up on the on a ditch that's very hard to maintain in 2 different locations. They just got another one put up, and I don't know if the postal department understands maintaining a ditch and trying to do that. And the biggest problem I have with both of these locations is that the postal department has mailboxes within 4 blocks, all on one side of the street, both ways of both of these locations. And all of a sudden, in the middle of this 8-block run, here's one on the other side. I don't understand their reasoning. I don't understand what's going on with that. Why in the middle of 8 blocks, one postal box has to be put on the opposite side of the people they're serving. I don't know if they're standing by rules, regulations, or whether this is the postmaster's wish. I don't know. But I think there's a lot of public that's upset with this and don't know who to talk to. And so, and I didn't get nowhere the first go around with one of the first location. Now it's happened to me again in the last month. And so I hope they understand what it's like to try maintaining a steep ditch. You got to stop your tractor, go around it, stop your mower. You can't even get a mower in most of these locations both of these locations that I'm talking about. So that creates more weed eating and hands stuff for people to do. And if it's not on their property, if they're not getting served by it, then I think that's the problem, why they're upset, because they're not getting served by it. So, Postal Department, I hope you listen, hope you change some things and do something different and try getting along with the public. Thank you.
Have they contacted their district post office? Because I know in our area, we have to go through the district post office, which is Harrington.
Okay.
And they will I've had, on occasion, they have answered. So I don't know what the district post office is for Peabody.
I think it's Marion's postmaster takes care of Peabody. So anyway, I've talked to them on one and haven't gotten a good answer, but I guess I'm gonna have to try it again, but maybe possibly go to a higher up supervisor somewhere. But we all know the postal department runs on negative balances most of the time. Yeah, we know who supports them, so I'd hope they'd like to, help us out a little bit. Thank you. That's all I got for that.
I had a comment.
Yeah.
As you can see in the packet, Tina worked diligently to put together where we're at on the transfer station. What's been spent, what we have left, and you can see what the bottom line is right now. That doesn't mean that bottom line will stay the same. That figure has to come out of the general fund if we do everything that in the plans that are there. My question to the commission is, are you comfortable at 100,000 overage or more? Because I'm not.
Well, it will be more unless there's other
Right.
reductions, because we don't have additional engineering bills that will,
Right. So I'm just telling you where I'm at. We set a budget for this thing and it's already blown, so.
Well, I understand that, Kent, I agree with you. But the location we're in, that has a lot to do with it. The engineering, where, believe it or not, maybe this is their first one they've done. And there's gonna be some more changes too, I think, coming up. And so, I'm not happy with what we're seeing. But anytime you go into a project, you sort of gotta.
I understand that, but there was some, we got into this dirt thing, which still bothers me because everybody knew it was there. I just think it's, we might be getting close to the time we need to call in the engineer and the general contractor and say, what can we do to make this facility viable and work the way it's supposed to do, but we need to cut something somewhere.
That's
just my own personal thought.
Right. No,
I'm disagreeing with you.
Not disagreeing with you at all. That's why I'm adamant about building the right thing that you want the first time. And I know it's extra expense sometimes, but I think the public's all right with that as long as they don't see their money used and then it doesn't turn out right.
I'm not sure of that, because if, you know, that's fine and dandy if I'm a private business and I have an overage, I can go down to bank on the corner and say, oh, hey, we got this problem. All we can do is dip in the general fund.
And I think too, Kent, what we was told was less than 1.5 to start with, wasn't it?
1.7.
No, very first
No,
time, John.
first time it was below.
Very first time it was below
1.5.
Right. And then it's just kept going up and up and up and stuff from where we was at, so.
Something to be thinking about.
Yep.
But if we would decide that we look for some savings, we ought to be doing it soon.
Not too late.
Yeah, I don't know where you'd find them at this point.
I mean,
you'd put a stop to the structure.
Even here, when I wanted to even think about cutting that office off, well, they probably hadn't had the metal boarded for it.
Yeah.
And everything there, so it was, when I sat back and looked at that, I said, well, what can I save? I probably can't save very much at all to cut that other built office off on the west end. Even though it could have been inside the building.
Yeah, well, we got all of that space there on the east. This, to me, dead.
All right. Anybody else got anything? All right. So we'll end up going into a commission executive session.
We'll take a little break.
If you want to take,
Take 5.
we'll take 5 recess.
10.
I got about 1:20.
Say what?
I got 1:30 doctor's appointment, so I gotta leave by 1:20.
Okay. Well, I don't know how long we'll be in the exec, but we'd go 10 minutes for recess.
That would give us, if we started back at 5,
Give you 10 minutes.
at 5 till, that'd give you about half an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Gonna do a 10-minute recess.
Okay.
I've been in that position before too. It's like,
It's kind of like the rigmarole study.
I didn't know it was that. I thought the bathroom was needed.
That too.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. All right, at this time, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 1, personal matters, non-elected personnel.
And it would be for a discussion on hiring.
Discussion on applicant hiring. For how long?
When do you have to leave? 1:20?
Yeah, 1:25.
1:25, yes. 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Yeah, well, we can always open up earlier, right?
You just can't take any action,
Yeah.
including adjournment.
Right.
So maybe you'd wanna.
Yeah, let's just shorten that up a bit. Let's just do
20 minutes.
15.
Okay.
15 minutes with the board pursuant to KSA 75-4319B.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 15 minutes. 1:15. By the time virtual.
Yeah.
We have Tina stay.
It wasn't part of the motion, so if you need to have me come in, let me know.
We'll invite her in.
Um,
Brad told me I'm capable of inviting people in. I just have to tell them when we come out that we invited somebody in.
Okay, so we'll be back at 1:15.
Good deal.
Well, it's just coming out of your pilot.
Hold on. This isn't working. Sorry, the remote it stopped working. It's tired. Okay, now it's on.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, out of executive session, no action taken.
We wanna wait to make a decision on the 5th, yeah.
Dave's gotta go, so.
Dave's gotta go.
Still trying to have
You
Peter
can put it
wrap.
that way.
You ain't getting out of that easy.
Well,
Try to come up with some pay scales where we'd be on something, or try to. where we-
did
yeah.
you want any references checked on any of your applicants?
I did.
Because that would be a,
Yeah.
is somebody taking care of that?
I've already called Sheila on
Okay.
each one of them.
Okay.
And I may not be here on the 5th. So,
Well, that's unfortunate.
Put us out till the 13th.
Got some other things on the 13th. The hearing, right, that we've added to it today.
Yeah.
What else did we add to the 13th? Another-
KAC is on the 13th, but it's just a short session and.
Yeah. And we've got attorney-client update on the 13th. Yeah.
That's not on the 5th?
That's next week.
Is it the 5th? We could push
I
it
thought
back
you said
no, I
next
thought it was
week.
the 13th.
Oh,
5th.
Yeah, 5th is what
Monday.
we need to bring this back up, but
I guess
I
as
think
long
we-
as
I think we-
Diane's comfortable, we know where she's at on
I think, I think it's just determine some pay scales and see where we're at and how we go. I think we all sort of felt that, I didn't hear no disagreement.
yeah, if that's the way the commission's.
If anything changes to that, we'll wait till you get back.
I'm okay with that.
okay.
Is that okay? Everybody?
Yeah.
Something Monday then? Put it on the agenda Monday?
Yeah. You budget busters Monday. That's what it will be.
Make a motion to adjourn unless somebody has something else.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Randy. I'll just count mine.
Okay, I got errands, so I'm gonna skip 2.
You say you might not be here Monday?